Okay, this is gonna be my book review of Pyrrhus of Epirus. No, sorry, Army of Pyrrhus of Epirus from Osprey Publishing. And it's a very interesting book, but they talk about Pyrrhus' army and his tactic and so on in this book. And Osprey Publishing is a military history publishing book company. Some different books about the Greeks, Celts, and so on, and other warrior culture. In this book, yeah. The thing is interesting. This video is going to be very bit short, and the interesting thing about Pyrrhus or Epirus is Epirus is the first real enemy that Rome face that are much more disciplined or have their own state and a kingdom and so on. And also the first time Roman ever in their whole life face elephants in war. So the interesting thing with that, with elephants within Pyrrhus' army, and later on in the Carthaginian army in Zama, the last battle with Hannibal and Scipio Africanus, is that the Roman at that time, after they have faced Pyrrhus 2 times, they learned to face elephants in war after the conflict with the Pyrrhus, and later on with Hannibal and then of Philip in Macedonia, in the Secularia hill, and this kind of thing. So the thing with everything is really what I want to say is when normally in the history books, when the most popular thing when we talk about Rome and Roman enemies, like the people from face Rome, are the most of them famous is because Hannibal of Carthage, where he lived in much more in Spain, that he was almost all of his elephant was dying over the mountain, and the real person really used elephant on the Italian field in Rome was the Pyrrhus. So the thing that after Pyrrhus had been gone, a year later he was killed in Sparta, in Argos in Sparta, in a street fight. So after that we really need to question ourselves is, do the Roman have already learned after that first time with Pyrrhus how to face elephant after the fight? Because if they face Pyrrhus and he have elephant, there must be some kind of books the Roman write down how to defend themselves against elephants when the Carthaginian use elephants. So, and it is a different kind of elephant. We know that Pyrrhus, maybe I'm wrong now. Man, Pyrrhus, he get his elephant from Antigonus, and Antigonus get elephant from India. And the Indian elephant was much bigger than the African bush elephants that the Carthaginian use. So that many times, like the official introducer with war elephants to the Greek world, or Hellenistic world, are Alexander the Great after he was in India. So after that, many times the Greeks, like the Macedonian, the Antigonus, Demetrius, Seleucus, all of them, all the big guys, use elephant in some way. Some people was much more obsessed with elephants, like Demetrius of Bactria. His coins have elephant. He have elephant head on his coins, and a horse on the backside of the coin. And Pyrrhus is also very famous for using elephants in war. And elephant is an interesting animal in history, but they're also very unreliable war machine. For they can also get panic and attack you. So yeah, back to the point with this book. I really like this book. It's very interesting to read about Pyrrhus, and it's not. One thing more I really need to say: it's not interesting that if he win or he lose. We know that he lose. He was killed in Sparta, and in a battle. But the thing is not interesting with the victory or loss in the battle. The interesting thing is about his legacy. The legacy is that we remember him. That is the interesting thing. And so the interesting thing that he was a very interesting general, because he was a person that Hannibal looked up to. That his second favorite was, okay, the first one was Alexander the Great. The second one was Pyrrhus. And Pyrrhus is interesting because he is the guy that take Alexander the Great's place to attack Italy, as we call Rome. For there was, before Alexander the Great died, his plan was to attack Carthage and Rome and Arabia. That was his 3 points, and Pyrrhus attacked 2 of them, Carthage and Rome. So that is the interesting thing, that we first time ever can see Macedonian, Epirusian, Melusian, and Macedonian army, first time ever fighting on Italian field against the Romans in the early state of the Roman kingdom, like in early state, Roman Republic. And so that is the interesting thing with Pyrrhus, that we can really see in the historian we can really see how it's going to look like if a Greek army, Malusian army, fight against a Roman army, and how we see the difference, like with the Macedonian phalanx style with the war elephants and their tactic in battle against a very new style of fighting like the Roman. So there is the interesting thing with Pyrrhus. It's not interesting in all if he win or lose. It's not that it's interesting. That is not the point. The only point is that that we can see the reflection of what Alexander the Great fight maybe should be if he not was killed or die of natural causes in Iraq, in Babylonia. So that is the interesting thing with Pyrrhus, that he is a very interesting character, and from my personal opinion, I think he much more interesting than Hannibal in some cases. I think that, I really think Pyrrhus is much more interesting. But he's a different person. It's hard to, I like more Pyrrhus. So that was my book review, and Merry Christmas to you all. I really hope you like this book review, and really look up Osprey Publishing. There's many different books of military history, from generals, warship, chariot, cannon, everything about war. Very interesting company, and